studying English for 2 hours a day might be the reason you're still not improving.
You don't need more time. You need the right 30-minute routine.
Let's start with the first 10 minutes of your day.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge pain point.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We're looking at a topic today that I know resonates with so many of you listening out there. We are mapping out the ultimate habit-protecting 30-minute daily English routine.
Yeah, specifically tailored for busy beginner and intermediate learners.
Right. And our mission today is simple, but honestly, pretty radical. We want to prove that consistent, targeted micro-sessions are vastly superior to those exhausting, hours-long marathon study sessions that ultimately just lead to burnout and frustration.
It really is a fundamental shift in how we approach language acquisition. We have this deeply ingrained cultural assumption that if something is hard, we just need to throw more brute force hours at it.
Like cramming for a test.
Exactly. But language isn't a history textbook you can cram into your brain the night before a test. It's a skill that must be absorbed slowly and then actively produced. Before you can produce language, you need to absorb it correctly.
Right. So if we are tearing down this exhausting marathon approach, what does the beginning of a successful day actually look like? The hook mentioned the first 10 minutes, but looking at our sources, it seems the very first step of this routine is even shorter than that.
Yeah, it is. We are going to start with just 5 minutes. We call this the morning input. You are going to listen to a short piece of easy English. We're talking 30 seconds to 2 minutes maximum.
So really brief.
Very brief. This could be a podcast clip, a simple conversation, or, a beginner-level video. The absolute key here is to find one short clip and stick with it for the whole 5-minute session. Do not constantly switch to new audio looking for something perfectly entertaining.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because listening without understanding every word feels incredibly counterintuitive. I mean, if I'm listening to a clip and I hear a word I don't know, I instantly want to pause it and figure out what it means. Why not just read the subtitles immediately so you aren't completely confused from the jump?
Because the moment you rely on subtitles, you are testing your reading skills, not training your listening skills. It is a completely different cognitive process. Let's break down what's actually happening in your brain.
Okay.
When you listen to a foreign language, your working memory is juggling a huge amount of data sounds, context, tone, rhythm. If you try to catch every single word, you fall into one of the biggest cognitive traps beginners face, which is the panic spiral.
The panic spiral. Wow, I think anyone who has tried to learn a language knows exactly what that feels like.
Precisely. You hear an unknown word, your brain just freezes. It dedicates all its processing power to that single missing puzzle piece, frantically searching your memory for a translation.
And meanwhile, the audio is still going.
Right. The audio doesn't wait for you. It keeps playing at natural speed. So while you are stuck stressing over one noun, you end up entirely missing the next 5 sentences.
So one missing word spirals into missing half the conversation. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So the first listen is really just getting the lay of the land, figuring out if we're in a coffee shop or a boardroom.
Exactly.
Once the panic of where are we is gone, I imagine we can actually start zooming in on the details during a second pass.
Yeah. If 2 people are talking about breakfast and you don't recognize a specific food word, it just doesn't matter. You know they are deciding what to eat. That main idea is your only goal for listen number 1. Then, on the second listen, you zoom in just a fraction.
What are we looking for in the second listen?
Try to catch just 3 useful words or expressions. For example, if the audio says, "I'm running late, so I'll grab some coffee on my way to work," you might just hear late, coffee, and work. That is enough context for your brain to deduce that the speaker is busy and getting a drink.
And then, once we've done that heavy lifting blindly, do we finally get to see the text?
Yes, then the training wheels come off. Or rather, they go on. For your 3rd and 4th listens, you transition. Listen a 3rd time while checking the transcript or subtitles.
Because native speakers blur words together.
Exactly. This is where you connect how the written words actually sound in natural connected speech. A lot of times, words blend together in English, and reading while listening helps your brain decode those phonetic blends. Then, do a final 4th listen without the subtitles again.
Just to let your brain absorb those sounds now that you definitively know what they mean.
Right.
And if someone does all 4 of those passes and still understands almost nothing, what if it's just pure noise?
Then it means the material is too hard, plain and simple. The audio should be a little difficult, pushing you slightly outside your comfort zone, but it shouldn't sound like meaningless noise. If it does, drop your ego and find something easier.
That's a good rule of thumb.
And then, and this is crucial stop, 5 minutes are up. Do not turn this into an exhausting 1-hour listening lesson just because you feel highly motivated that morning.
I love that boundary. 5 minutes, 4 quick listens, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've spent my 5 minutes in the morning. My brain has passively absorbed the rhythm of those words. But passive absorption isn't enough, right?
Yeah.
At some point later in the day, I have to actually pull value out of that audio.
You do.
How do I do that without just cramming a dictionary at my desk during my lunch break?
Later in the day, ideally around midday, you're going to set aside 10 minutes. And your goal is to extract only 3 expressions from that morning audio. Not 30 vocabulary words, just 3 expressions.
Only 3. I feel like there's this immense pressure in the language learning community to memorize massive vocabulary lists every day. People brag about learning 20, 30 words a day on their flashcard apps.
Sure, but a week later, most of those single isolated words are completely gone from their memory. The strategy of memorizing isolated vocabulary is incredibly inefficient from a neurobiological standpoint.
Done.
The brain doesn't store language as a dictionary of individual definitions. It stores it in patterns, what linguists call lexical chunks. You need to focus on expressions, not just single words, because expressions give you those chunks.
So instead of learning the isolated word late, I should learn the entire chunk, I'm running late.
Exactly. Or instead of just learning coffee, learn the phrase, grab some coffee. Expressions show you the natural ecosystem of the language. They show you how prepositions attach to verbs, how the grammar naturally flows, how words actually link together in the real world without you having to constantly think about grammar rules.
It's like learning single words instead of expressions is like buying a steering wheel and expecting to drive. It's an important piece, sure, but expressions give you the whole car. You can actually get in and go somewhere.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, your analogy is spot on. A steering wheel by itself doesn't move you forward, but to make sure you can actually drive that expression safely, you have to practice it correctly. You don't just write it down once.
But how do we practice it?
You use a highly effective 3-step method. Read it, change it, personalize it.
Walk me through what that actually looks like in practice. Let's use our earlier example, I'm running late.
First, you simply read the original sentence you heard in the morning audio. I'm running late, so I'll take a taxi. Second, you change one part of it to prove to your brain you understand the grammatical structure, so it becomes, I'm running late, so I'll skip breakfast.
And then the third step, personalize it. So I would make it about my own actual life, something that might really happen to me. Like, I'm running late, so I'll call my teacher.
Exactly. And you write this down, but, and this is a very important but for all the perfectionists out there, keep your notes incredibly simple. Write the expression, its meaning, and your one personal example. Do not waste 20 minutes making a beautiful, color-coded notebook with 7 different highlighters.
Okay, I feel slightly attacked right now.
Yeah.
I love my highlighters. They make me feel like I'm really studying hard.
Oh, it's a common trap. The psychology of personalization is fascinating here. A beautiful, heavily highlighted notebook creates the illusion of productivity. It feels like you were studying, but you're really just doing arts and crafts.
Ouch, arts and crafts.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah. Personalizing a sentence, on the other hand, engages your brain's episodic memory. It anchors that abstract foreign language to your actual life, your real memories, your real emotions. It makes it infinitely harder for your hippocampus to discard that information.
Because it actually matters to you.
Right. I'm running late, so I'll call my teacher. Matters to you, because you've probably felt the stress of having to do that. A perfectly highlighted list of 30 random dictionary words carries 0 emotional weight.
That is a tough pill to swallow for the stationery lovers among us. But the science makes total sense. Perfect notes shouldn't replace actually internalizing the language. So we've got the car, we've customized it to fit our life. Now we have to actually drive it. We have to speak.
Yes. The afternoon output.
How do we take these building blocks and turn them into real conversation?
This is the part that beginners historically avoid like the plague. They tell themselves, oh, I'll start speaking when my English is better, or I need to know more grammar before I open my mouth.
Right. But our sources are aggressively pushing back on that. They're saying spend 10 minutes speaking now, even if you're an absolute beginner stumbling over every verb.
Yes. Waiting to feel ready to speak, or waiting until you won't make mistakes, is like waiting to become strong before you start exercising. It is entirely backwards. The struggle to speak is the exercise that builds the strength.
I love that. So how do we exercise without pulling a muscle?
To do this without getting completely overwhelmed, we use a highly structured technique called the 3-2-1 routine. You pick a very simple topic from your daily life, say, what did I do this morning?
Okay. Simple enough. I woke up, I made coffee. Then what?
First, you speak out loud about that topic for exactly 3 minutes. You can pause, you can make mistakes, you can look at the notes you made earlier with your 3 new expressions. Your only goal is to keep communicating for 3 unbroken minutes.
I have to say, 3 minutes is a remarkably long time when you're struggling for words. That sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting, but it's intentionally designed that way based on cognitive load theory. Because immediately after those 3 minutes are up, you speak about the exact same topic again, but this time for 2 minutes.
Wait, the exact same topic? I would think you'd want to switch to something new to keep it fresh.
No, the exact same topic.
Yeah.
If you switch topics, you reset the difficulty. Here's what happens in your brain. During that first 3-minute run, your brain is doing 2 massive tasks simultaneously. It's hunting for ideas. What did I do this morning? And it's trying to translate those ideas into English.
That is a massive cognitive load.
But on the second attempt, your brain has already cached the ideas. The what happened is already queued up. So your brain naturally drops the unnecessary details and dedicates almost all its processing power to the vocabulary and syntax.
So you're stripping away the friction of figuring out what to say so you can focus entirely on how to say it. I'm guessing the final step is 1 minute.
You guessed it. 1 final minute on the exact same topic. By this third time, you aren't hunting for ideas and you aren't hunting for vocabulary. The words are right there, the neural pathways are warmed up, it comes out remarkably smooth and clear.
You've essentially done a rough draft, an edit, and a final polish, all entirely out loud.
Yes.
That's a brilliant way to manufacture fluency in a controlled environment. And I see in our research that it's highly recommended to record ourselves on our phones while we do this. Listen back and ask, did I communicate the main idea? Did I use today's expressions?
Exactly.
But I have to push back here. Listening to my own voice sounds terribly uncomfortable in my native language, let alone a language I'm just learning. And what if I get stuck during that very first 3-minute run and just stare at the wall for 60 seconds?
It's uncomfortable, yes, but it provides objective feedback that your memory simply cannot. And as for getting stuck, if you forget a word, you do not stop and stare at the wall. You do not hit pause to grab a dictionary. You use a crucial communication skill called circumlocution.
Circumlocution, literally talking around the word.
Exactly. It's an essential survival skill. If you forget the word umbrella, you don't freeze. You say, the thing you use when it rains. That is not a failure of vocabulary. That is a massive success in communication.
Oh, wow, that's a great reframe.
In a real conversation, the other person will smile and say, oh, an umbrella, and the conversation flows naturally. Native speakers do this all the time when they have a brain slip.
The thing you use when it rains. I love that. It totally takes the pressure off having a perfect, exhaustive dictionary in your head. Your goal isn't perfection. Your goal is to get the point across by any means necessary.
Exactly. And when you do listen to your recording, if you focus only on finding your mistakes, speaking practice just becomes an endless source of stress. Find one mistake to work on tomorrow, sure, but also actively find one thing you did well, even if that win is just that you spoke for a full minute without giving up or looking at your phone.
So that's the heavy lifting done. We've got our 5-minute morning listen to absorb the rhythm, our 10-minute midday extraction to pull out our 3 lexical chunks, and our 10-minute afternoon speaking practice to actively produce the language. The day is wrapping up.
Almost done.
We've absorbed, extracted, and produced. How do we make sure this doesn't just evaporate overnight?
We move to the final piece of the puzzle, the evening cementing. Now we need to ensure everything you just worked so hard on actually sticks in your long-term memory before you go to sleep. And gratefully, this only takes 5 minutes.
So we're not introducing any new vocabulary or grammar rules before bed.
Absolutely no new information. The evening is purely for review and consolidation. First, you listen to that morning audio clip one last time.
I imagine it sounds profoundly different 12 hours later.
It usually feels like magic. You know the context, you've practiced the expressions, you've lived with the rhythm of it all day. What sounded like fast, intimidating noise in the morning now sounds completely manageable.
That's awesome.
After that confidence boost, you move to active recall. You look at the 3 expressions you wrote down midday, you cover them up with your hand, and you force your brain to try and remember them.
So what does this all mean? When I cover up my notebook and I feel that actual physical strain in my head trying to remember the expression, I'm not just testing to see if I learned it earlier.
No, the struggle is the learning. That strain you feel is retrieval practice. You are actively building and reinforcing the neural pathway. Most learners just reread their notes. Reading notes again and again creates something called the illusion of competence.
Because the words feel familiar.
Right. The words feel familiar when you look at them, but familiar doesn't mean remembered. It's like looking at a map and thinking you know how to navigate the city.
That is such a crucial distinction. It's like the mental struggle to recall a covered word isn't a sign of a bad memory. It's actually the brain lifting weights to make that specific memory stronger.
Perfectly said. Once you successfully pull them from your memory, use each of those three expressions in one brand new sentence out loud.
Yeah.
And you're done. That is your 30 minutes for the day.
But let's be real for a second. We are talking about busy people. Some days, finding 30 minutes, even split up into these highly efficient chunks. 5 in the morning, 10 at lunch, 10 commuting, 5 at night. Some days it's just chaotic.
Oh, absolutely. Life happens.
The boss yells at you, the kids are sick, the train is delayed, everything goes wrong. What happens then? Do we just write the day off?
When everything goes wrong, you use the emergency 10-minute routine. You compress the entire philosophy into 10 minutes. You listen for 3 minutes, you speak for 3 minutes, you review for 4 minutes. Total 10 minutes.
But is 10 minutes even worth it? I feel like most people would just throw their hands up and say, today is ruined, I'll just study for 2 full hours tomorrow to make up for it.
This raises an important question about how we view progress. It brings us to the ultimate battle: consistency versus intensity. I'll study 2 hours tomorrow is the biggest, most destructive lie language learners tell themselves.
Because tomorrow's going to be busy too.
Exactly. And then one skipped day becomes a skipped week, and then you feel guilty, and then you've completely quit. A tiny 10-minute emergency routine doesn't create instant fluency, no, but it protects the habit. It keeps the language alive in your brain, preventing those neural pathways from degrading.
It's all about momentum. Missing one day doesn't ruin your progress, but giving up completely because you missed a day absolutely does.
Exactly. Don't punish yourself with a 3-hour cram session of guilt. Just do your 10-minute emergency routine, pat yourself on the back for showing up, and start fresh the next day.
That is incredibly freeing. Okay, so we know the exact blueprint. We know the 30-minute daily architecture. Let's flip the script to close things out. What are the guaranteed ways to sabotage this? What should our listeners absolutely not do?
There are 3 major mistakes that will derail this entire process. First, using way too many resources. We see learners with 1 podcast, a daily app, 2 grammar textbooks, and 5 different YouTube channels they try to follow simultaneously.
That sounds suspiciously like me trying to get fit, buying all the premium workout gear, downloading 5 tracking apps, but never actually lifting a weight.
Exactly. It creates a lot of frantic activity, which feels good, but it results in 0 actual progress. Pick 1 main resource, 1 type of audio, and stick with it.
What's the second mistake?
The second mistake is relying only on passive learning. Watching English TV shows for hours feels incredibly productive. But if you aren't producing the language yourself, like with the 3-2-1 speaking method, you're only receiving. You are building comprehension, but you will freeze the moment you have to speak. You have to produce.
And the third major mistake to avoid.
Choosing material that is way too difficult. This is an ego trap. Beginners understandably want to sound like cool native speakers, so they watch fast-paced sitcoms or complex movies. But if the language is flying by so fast that you can't understand it, it's not comprehensible input. You can't notice the useful patterns or lexical chunks if everything is a blur.
Keep it simple.
Yes. Easy material isn't beneath you. Easy material is how you build an unbreakable foundation.
So we want to leave you, the listener, with a challenge. Take everything we've talked about and follow this exact routine. 5 minutes listening, 10 minutes extracting, 10 minutes speaking, 5 minutes reviewing for just 7 days, 1 week.
Just 7 days.
Pick incredibly simple topics for your 3-2-1 speaking practice. Your morning routine, your family, your favorite food. Record yourself on day 1, and then record yourself on day 7. Compare them. You will be absolutely shocked by the difference that targeted repetition makes in just 1 week.
And before we sign off today, I want you to step back and think about something. Think about how a child actually learns to walk.
Well, that's a good analogy.
They do not sit quietly on the floor and read a dense manual about human biomechanics for 2 hours every Sunday. They stand up, they take small, incredibly clumsy steps, they fall down, and they try again the next day. Every single day. They use the skill to navigate their world until the awkwardness fades and it becomes entirely natural.
They live it.
They do.
Yep.
So I leave you with this final thought. Are you treating your language learning like a sterile textbook to memorize or a living daily habit to experience?
That is the perfect question to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Don't wait until Monday or until you magically have a free hour in your schedule. Implement your emergency routine today, right now, no matter how busy you are. We'll see you next time.